Coming up on Mountain News at 6, Agriculture Commissioner Jonathan Schell and State Treasurer Mark Metcalf are sworn in. And January is Sex Trafficking Awareness Month. How one Central Kentucky organization is working to help raise awareness.
Plus, the forecast remains active as we start the new year. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
A small Central Kentucky county is home to two people serving in statewide offices in Frankfort. Ceremonies to swear in the Agriculture Commissioner and Treasurer were held in Garrett County today. Jonathan Schell and Mark Metcalf will serve in those capacities. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has the story.
Lancaster is a small town surrounded by rural Garrett County where farms are frequently found. And today the community packed a courtroom as two of its residents were sworn in to serve the entire state.
I think it's pretty special. It's special for me. You know, growing up, I've always known Mark Metcalf as my county attorney, and as a friend, he went to high school with my dad. I do.
Schell is Kentucky's new Agriculture Commissioner.
I do.
And Mark Metcalf is the state treasurer.
So it's a great day. It's good to be here in Garrett County and celebrating with all our friends from across the state.
Both Jonathan Schell and Mark Metcalf say that they, of course, will focus on serving the needs of the entire state of Kentucky, but the fact that they are from such a small rural community, they say they also want to make sure that the needs of rural Kentucky are not ignored.
Jonathan is a friend of mine. I've known him for years. His dad and I played football together at Garrett County. There's not a better man in Kentucky politics than Jonathan Schell.
I'm going to be the hardest worker that you've
Schell is a former state representative who runs a local family farm. He says he looks forward to working with the state legislature, which gavels in at noon Tuesday.
But I want to put a special focus on economic development in rural areas, to really focus on secondary manufacturing of ag products, to get beyond just the commodity, to start working on businesses in the state.
It was noted that many who came to watch the ceremony were not just from Garrett County, but from throughout the state. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Metcalf and Schell were not the only ones to be sworn in within the last 24 hours. At midnight, Attorney General Russell Coleman was sworn in. He is taking over for Daniel Cameron. He announced his new leadership team last month. Tomorrow, current state treasurer Allison Ball will become state auditor, and Michael Adams will start his second term as Secretary of State. A swearing-in ceremony will get underway tomorrow at 10 a.m. in Frankfort. Long-term recovery has been the mission for several organizations working to help Eastern Kentucky rebuild after the July 2022 flood. Multiple higher ground housing projects have been announced since the flood. The Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky has been a part of that, including plans for Chestnut Ridge in Knott County. Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky's Jerry Roll says they want to be more prepared for when another disaster hits.
We want to rebuild our communities in ways that make them more resilient when the next flood happens or the next disaster happens, because it will happen. So our work is more about that long-term future than it is that short-term recovery.
The foundation has also supported many businesses impacted by the flood, awarding more than 100 business grants. Owners of electric vehicle and hybrid drivers will have to pay a new tax that starts today. The ownership fee for an EV will cost $120 per year. For a hybrid car, it is $60 a year. People who use an EV charging station will also be taxed 3 cents per kilowatt hour. It's similar to the state's gas tax. The money will go to maintaining state roads. Now to a change that will affect every West Virginia car owner. With the new year comes a change for your car's inspection sticker. Last March, lawmakers approved a major change. Inspection stickers are now good for 2 years for every vehicle that is registered. This has caused the price of inspection to go up to about $19.78. One Charleston mechanic says car maintenance will be even more critical since vehicles will not have to be inspected as often. West Virginia State Police are also concerned about the increase in wear and tear on vehicles. Sergeant Eric McClung says the likelihood of folks rejecting inspection stickers could increase in the future. An important form to get help paying for college is now open. FAFSA is one of the main ways future students can qualify for help. The Department of Education rolled out changes this year to make the process simpler. Some families may now only have to answer 18 questions compared to the more than 100 last year. Eligibility for Pell Grants, which students don't have to pay back, has also changed. You can learn more at studentaid.gov.
Well, we are tracking a few snow flurries across the mountains on this Monday evening. Here's a live look at First Alert Pinpoint Doppler. And for most of us, we are just dry, cold, and gloomy, but we are tracking a few light snow showers or snow flurries, mainly in the Big Sandy Valley, places close to Prestonsburg, also Allen and Martin over in Floyd County. Also a few flurries not too far away from Pikeville. This will continue pushing off to the south as we go over the next several minutes there, and possibly a few snow flurries in Rockcastle County, also into Jackson County, not too far away from McKee at this hour as well. Here's a live look from Southwest Virginia from UVA-wise. That current temperature is below freezing, 28 degrees over in Southwest Virginia right now. For most of us, we are above freezing, but barely. Most of us in the middle 30s, down to 34 in Jackson, also Hazard, 36 for Manchester and Harlan, and 35 for Middlesboro, also London. At this hour, those temperatures are cold as we wake up on Tuesday in the upper 20s. And again, watching out for possibly a stray sprinkle or snow flurry as we go into tonight. But high pressure begins to take over tomorrow, so more sunshine is on the way by Tuesday. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Cameron. A Corbin man is behind bars after police found out he was behind the wheel while intoxicated. Deputies with London PD brought 56-year-old James Forbes into custody this past weekend. After a traffic stop was performed, deputies discovered Forbes' speech was slurred while also having bloodshot eyes and constricted pupils. Forbes faces multiple charges. In Whitley County, a man is behind bars following a domestic violence incident. Williamsburg PD arrested 52-year-old Wade Rains last week. Rains is accused of assaulting a female victim, which caused her to be seriously injured. Rains was charged with assault and was taken to the Whitley County Detention Center. January is Sex Trafficking Awareness Month. It is something that can happen throughout the state. Natalie's Sisters, a nonprofit organization in Lexington, helps sex trafficking victims. Kelsey Soto spoke with the founder, who dedicates her life to raising awareness to help others.
For more than 2 decades, Natalie's Sisters has been helping women of Central Kentucky escape sex trafficking. Over time, the need has only grown.
Primarily that's because of the lingering effect of COVID, inflation, and also the opioid crisis. I mean, it's everywhere because of that.
Other factors can lead to exploitation, including a lack of education, limited resources, or even homelessness.
The biggest difference between now and 23 years ago is the opioid crisis. While there were, drugs and alcohol were still an issue then, it was nothing like it is now. It is rare to see somebody come to our door that isn't currently or has in the past dealt with an addiction.
Janie Lewis founded the organization back in 2000. She says there's a lot of misconceptions about what sex trafficking really looks like. Most victims are not kidnapped by strangers, often preyed upon by someone they know, like a friend, family member, or romantic partner. Traffickers rarely take their victims by force.
Most of the time it's going to be people who are just walking down the street, and if you didn't know, it's not like Pretty Woman. If you didn't know, you would think it's a college student walking down the street or somebody who lives in the neighborhood, and you kind of get used to the activity and motions and movement, and we can tell, but if you were driving down the street, you probably wouldn't know.
Data from the National Human Trafficking Hotline indicates 81% of sex trafficking victims were brought in by someone intimately close to them. Many times they offer a solution, like a free place to stay or food. Then they change the terms of the situation. That's why Janie says their work is so important.
It's so amazing to see. It can take years. It's like planting seeds, and you might not see anything for a long time. But then when you do see, when a girl calls and she says, hey, thanks, I'm at this, I'm at a rehab center, or I got a job and I'm with my family and back to my family, makes all the difference in the world.
Well, a few flurries are possible as we go into this evening, but high pressure is back by tomorrow. Your first alert forecast coming up. Plus,
with the new year comes a renewed energy for many people, and for a group of hikers in Floyd County, that energy was used for an early morning trek.